Hey, beautiful people! It's yet another time on the clinic with Oluwatosin Oladimeji Ladipo, and I'm very sure that you're all well, you're good, and you have not stopped keeping safe. As you all know, that is our usual way of saying hello to all of you. Thank you. It's nice having you around this evening. Like we all know that our guests are always coming in not our viewers are always coming in trickles, and bets. My joy is that they always get involved because you always get feedback from most of them that the program is this, the program is that, is very inspiring, is very impactful. Thank you so much. I must indeed say a big thank you for your involvement with the clinic with Oluwatosin Oladimeji Ladipo. For some time now, we've been on series, different series. We had the child girl or the boy child. Is it child girl or the girl child? What do they even call the girl child? We had the girl child series. We had the boy child series. And you said what? What did
The
you
girl
say?
child. You're right. The girl child.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Because most times I always mix it up. I call it guy chick. I always take it the other way around. Yes.
Yeah.
Me, I don't like fun. I still ask, am I saying the right thing or is that the right way to say it? Well, don't let me deviate. Like I said, for some time now we've been on series. We started the girl child series, we've done the boy child series, and 2 weeks ago, last week, we started another series on a life before marriage. Because we have a lot of singles that have been asking, do I really still want to get married? With what we've been seeing with marriages, a lot of them have been discouraged and they feel that they really do not want to go into marriage any longer. That's why we started this series on life before marriage. And last week, what was the topic we treated? I guess we treated how to manage pressure. Yes, how to manage pressure before getting married. That was the topic we treated last week. And today we are going to take another topic and be having tsunamis. Well, of course, we all know what the topic is. And the topic is, how should we get married for financial stability? Getting married for financial stability. Fine. It's good to think of, I want to be financially stable. It's always good to think of that. I want to be wealthy. Everybody wants to be wealthy. But should that be the purpose of you getting married? That's why we are going to look at this topic today, so that when you're going into marriage, you know what you're going in for. Now, let me introduce our guests to you. Yes, our viewers are coming in, and I'm glad to really have them. Thank you so much. Now, let me introduce our guests to you one by one. One of them is on now. The second person, I will bring him on later. But let me introduce our first guest to you. Her name is Mrs. Nike Mustafa Ajayi. Most people don't know as Mustafa Ajayi, but that is what I call her anyway. That is what I call her. She's Mrs. Nike Ajayi. She's a pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and she's a businesswoman. Business tycoon. She loves business so much, and she's really doing so well. And she's married with 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. She's married to a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and she has 3 children. Mrs. Nike Ajayi, it's nice having you around this evening. Hello, good evening. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's so great to be in the clinic. And I'm sure that we're all going to have an inspiring and exciting time. And we're going to learn 1 or 2 things. And I also look forward to learning because personally I learn and I will learn and I will learn. As we grow, we have things to learn from one another. Thank you, Tosin, for having me, ma'am.
Please, thank you so much. It's nice having you around. People are coming in already. They are clapping for you. Thank you so much. Now, let me
Thank
bring in
you.
our second guest. Let me bring in him. Let me bring him in. Yes, you can see his handsome face already. Now, oh, this, the echo is coming from your hand. There is one echo. I'm sure it's from your hand, sir. Hello, sir. I guess it's better.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can
we
you hear
can hear you.
me?
Just that yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Now, let me introduce our second guest to you. His name is Mr. Segun Adewumi. He's also a pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and he's the MD of Rootford Rootford. Yes, am I right? Rootford or Rootford. Let me pronounce this well. Rootford's Marketing Services. That is who our guest this evening is. Please, wherever you are, our viewers, help me to welcome our two guests in person of Mrs. Nike Ajayi and in person of Mr. Adewumi Olusegun. You're welcome once again. Hope you're fine.
Thank you.
Hope you're fine, sir.
You're
Thank you
welcome,
for
sir.
having me.
Good to have you here, sir.
Okay.
Nice to see you, Nike. Yeah.
All right. Nice having both of you around. Please, Mrs. Nikki Ajayi has really told us who
Thank
she is.
you.
So we really want to know more about Mr. Segun Adewumi. Is there something else you would like to tell our viewers about you, sir?
Well, I'm simply Segun Adewumi. Husband of one wife. I'm blessed with 3 lovely kids. Like you mentioned, I serve God in the church, one of the branches in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. And of course, I run a business that is management consulting based here in Lagos.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Would that be all, sir?
Yes, that would be simply all.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Nice having both of you around. It's a great privilege. And on this platform, we don't take privilege for granted at all. We don't take it for granted. It's a privilege to have both of you. We really appreciate that. Now, I would like to tell us before we go into the questions, because this is a platform where we help the youth and young adults to maintain virtue while breaking limits. And we also catch the children up by giving them the right orientation about life. That is what we do on the Clinic Foundation. It's an NGO, it's a charity. We call it charity because I live in the UK and they call it charity here. So it's a charity that is registered in the United Kingdom. That is what we do, generally organizing programs for youth, for singles, for children. That is what we do. And on the clinic every Sunday, what we do every Sunday is we bring in guests and we ask them questions. We say it's the real thing, the way it is. We don't hide anything from our viewers because they really want to know. And most of the questions most times comes from them because they really want to learn. And that is what we are doing this evening. So our first question to our guests, like we said, the topic we are treating is getting married for financial stability. That's the topic we are treating. Now, our first question to both of you is everyone gets married, fine. You are both married and married. Everyone gets married for a reason and even stay in marriage for reasons. People will tell you that's this reason I'm saying. Some people will tell you it's because of my children. Some people will tell you it's because the guy is rich. Several people for their different reasons why they are still staying in marriage. But should financial stability be one of the reasons why people should stay in marriage or get married before they get married? Should it be a reason? That's the question to both of you. Who will go first? They say ladies first after men, but
Ladies
after.
first, yes. Ladies first, yeah.
After men are spoken. Okay,
All
let's
right.
go.
Thank you. Thank you once again. It's good to have my clan together here. And thanks to you, Tosin, for bringing in Bishop. We call him Bishop. Thank you, Mr. Shagado.
It's nice to see you again, Nike.
Yes, thank you. So, back to the question. And I would love to start. Yes, we know that one thing is that marriage is universal. Marriage is not a religious institution. It's a
Okay.
universal institution. So we believe that everything we are saying here will cut across everyone online, whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're an atheist, whosoever you are. Because one thing that's brought everybody together is marriage. But because I subscribe to the Bible and I subscribe to Jesus, and because of the practicality of the scripture, I want to match 2 scriptures together. Say, money answereth all things. And the second one is the love of money is the root of all evil. So we have 2 extremes that we need to balance. And I'm now bringing it back into what we call financial stability. That statement is relative. And if as relative as it is, we need to define what it is. For me, the financial stability is the state of having a security around your financial state for the present and the future. having a security. There are some things that are basic. We don't have to, while we trust God for them, we don't have to pray out of fear for them. So for me, financial stability in marriage means the ability to create wealth, no matter how little it is, and wealth grows. What does that mean to me? Personally, it means that for me to think of financial stability in marriage, I'm thinking of my husband that has the creative ability to make wealth happen around him. And when we
Okay.
mean wealth, it does not mean he must have a Range Rover. It does not mean that he must have a landed property before we get married. It means that he has the mental, the physical, the spiritual capacity to work, to reproduce. And we may start with a room, we may start with a flat, we may start with a duplex, but how can we sustain that? For me, that means that it is relative and it is a yes. But to what extent? That extent is we can start little, but there must be capacity or the what will assure me of the growth of that capacity. And does it mean that I'm totally dependent on him? No. Everyone in marriage has the ability to produce well. Everyone in marriage. As long as you have decided to get married, you are two individuals that have come to do marriage. So why do you want to depend on somebody? And that's what we have in the world now. I need a man that has this. I need a man that is this. Are you coming in as a liability? The Bible says two shall become one, not two halves. Not two halves. Two wholesome people. Two people that can reproduce well. Two people that can make the marriage happen. And so I think I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Nike. I gained a lot from what you said. Yeah, I'm taking it two things. She said you must not have the mind of going into marriage because the man is rich. One. And number two, well, that's one angle to it. And the other angle, she said that the guy must have the ability to grow. So don't go into marriage and marry somebody who is lazy, who does not, well, no, I'm not the one speaking, sorry. I'm not preaching. I'm only saying what people said to me. That antitosin, that means with what Auntie Nike said now, let me say it with what they told me before now. Does that mean if I want to marry anybody, does that mean the guy should just be lazy? I should be the one that should be doing everything. But with what she said now, she said the person must have the ability to. So there must be an ability to produce, not that the person is a layback. Thank you. We've taken those 2 points. Now let me ask Mr. Segun Adewumi, what's your own view about the questions that we asked her?
Thank you once again, Tosin. I think Nike have laid a very broad principle around it. I was just looking at as an add-on to what she said, what is financial stability? Because we're talking about two people here in marriage. Financial stability, simply, I'll put it as ability to pay your bills. Your bills now or projected bills. I will look at it again and say financial stability is ability to live within your means and comfortably too. Because that word comfortably is very key. Ability to live within your means, pulling the resources together as a couple and be able to live within those means. And of course, like I mentioned, ability to grow that resources and to be able to live comfortably. Because again, two people starting out life together means that 2 or 3 other people, or 1 or 2, 3 other people will join them in the course of their journey. So in terms of marriage, financial stability is quite key. It's something to plan for, and it's something to be aware of ahead of time. I know in a number of places they will mention the fact that if you want to marry, somebody must be gainfully employed. That's always the word. Or somebody must be doing something that brings in income. So in real terms, it's something that should be considered as people go into marriage, that the issue of financial stability, which has to do more with ability to pay bills, because really, as either single or as couple, you're going to pay bills. And bills are what I call recurrent expenditures, basically. It means that you can't escape them. They are recurrent expenditures in life, and they will keep growing one way or the other. And you must be able to find a means through proactive planning and agreement together to be able to meet those financial needs on an ongoing basis. Let me take a recourse from the scripture, Amos 3:3. Can two work together except they agree? So basically, the two must agree and admit that one, there will be recurrent expenditures in this relationship, and they should be able to find a means in terms of their income to be able to meet those recurrent expenditures. So it requires some level of planning, some level of agreement, and of course some level of discipline within the two. Now, bringing it home in terms of either of the couples, either of the partners, I don't really think it lies with one or the other. It lies with the two, because interestingly, marriage is an agreement of two people, and of course, two people are going to incur the bills, and the two people are going to pay the bills. So it's not so much about one person going into marriage because I feel the other person has the ability to pay our bills, or the other person going to marry because she or he feels the other person has the ability. Like she mentioned, it's not a matter of depending on one person really, because even the person you want to depend on part time can lose his job, can lose his means. So it's about the two of you going into marriage with that agreement and planning that we'll be able to pay our bills, we'll be able to pay our recurrent expenditures on an ongoing basis, which will keep increasing so that you can also increase your income to be able to meet and pay the bills.
Thank you so much, Mr. Segun. It's very, very interesting tonight, and I'm really liking it. It's a matter of two, because marriage is just an agreement between two people. Not that, oh, I want to get married. I've said I'm not talking this evening, please. I sincerely do not want to talk. Now, let me ask the second question. I have a lot on my mind that a lot of people have bombarded me with so many questions. I wonder why since last week we started this series about, life before marriage, and people have been bombarded with questions. I wonder why marriage is something that people are really, really interested in. It's always on the mind of people, love, marriage, finance, and I thank God that people are really getting involved. Fine, I will take your questions later, but let me ask our audience, our guests first. Now, the second question to you is, at what point does seeking financial stability in marriage become absurd? Because fine, let me put it this way. At what point? Both of you have, in fact, you've answered the question. Some people will tell you that, no, Tosin, I want to go into marriage. Don't you know that guy is loaded? He has money. He's wealthy. And that guy pockets money day now. That's what they've been saying it to me. They've been saying it. Why are you going into the marriage? It's because he's loaded. Well, should it be a sin for you to marry somebody who is married, for somebody who is loaded financially? Should it be a crime? Or should I be the reason why you should go into marriage? That is the question to both of you, because I remembered your story. Please allow me to share their story before they answer the question, because that's the purpose why I brought both of them in on this program. We want people who have experience, who have gone through it, not people who just come and say, oh, 52 books to financial wealth. 10 reasons why you should get married. No, we don't want that. We want people with experience who God has really helped in life. That is the purpose for this program. Nikki Ajayi said something. Before she got married, she was okay. She was really, because of I met her, we've known ourselves. We grew up together, so I know her very well. So Nikki is somebody who has financial means. She was really doing well. But her husband did not have money. So why did you marry your husband if your husband was not loaded? Because he did not even have one kobo at all. And if you see him, you will not even want to. In fact, if you propose to know people that call themselves babes now, I'm sure none of them will say yes to him. But today, the guy is very wealthy and is doing so well. So what did Nikki see before he said yes to him? That is what we are taking now. And Mr. Segun, I remember he was not loaded. He didn't have financial means. I remember that his wife that I got married to now, she's a doctor in Unilag, a PhD doctor, not medical doctor. The wife said when both of them were serving, this husband, this Mr. Segun went to visit the wife. Then before then girlfriend, let me put it as girlfriend, that's what we all know it to be, went to visit her. And it was the girlfriend that gave him money to travel back to where he was coming from. How will you do that? A guy is supposed to come and greet me and give me money now. Is that not what we know? How will I marry somebody who doesn't have money and we still come and greet me? I be the one that will still give him money. But now it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It's not responsible. Is that not what we say? But today both of them are married. So now the question, I've been able to like lay a foundation about both of them stories. Now the question is, at what point does seeking financial stability in marriage become absurd? Now the man will go first. We heard from the ladies first.
Okay.
Now the man will go first.
Yes, right. I think we live in a very interesting world, and over time, certain norms that are quite abnormal are becoming normal. So it's a case of not understanding what is the very foundation for marriage. Finance, let me put it this way, finance in marriage, as wonderful and good and critical as it is, cannot form the basis for marriage. Oftentimes, the people that will eventually, by God's leading and interest, get married to, oftentimes may just be starting out life, not necessarily because they were lazy. It's just because it's a process. God is a God of process. He believes that we should not despise days of little beginnings. So people should understand that marriage has to be first about vision. What is the vision for marriage? The two of you coming together. What is your vision about marriage? What do you want to achieve in marriage? With God on your side and with proactivity and hard work, you are likely more than often to reach your goal. So it becomes absurd if the whole intent or the whole essence of going into marriage is for financial stability. Because marriage itself, from the initiator of marriage, that is God, was not basically based on finances. It was first based on vision to achieve an assignment under God. That was marriage. Marriage is the union of two people to achieve an assignment. Now, that assignment will require certain resources, for which finance is part of the resources. And of course, the person that initiated this institution called marriage has made provisions, that has made certain principles on the way, such that if the two can fulfill those principles, part of them is hard work, part of them is diligence, part of them is vision, part of them is planning, agreement in certain terms of certain things, part of them is breaking down even your vision into short, medium, and long term. Part of them is about looking out at the opportunities around you as a couple and tapping into them. Those are elements that the creator or the initiator of marriage has put in place for you to just link on. But to take marriage, the whole essence and sanctity of marriage, and summarize it and say, look, the basis for why I'm going to marriage is because of finance, relegates the whole institution itself, you know. So it's not finance that should be the essence of the marriage. It's because there must be an assignment to be accomplished. So as good as finance is key in actualizing marital visions in life, it is not the essence of it. It is not the intent of it. It's just part of the resources required. What about the spiritual? What about the emotional part of it? I mean, you've had cases where people have married people who, in case you call financially loaded, who are emotionally bankrupt. You've had cases where people have married people who are financially loaded, who are, in terms of maturity, they are not there. And of course, such marriages have crashed over time. So if you check, even in the world we live in today, the number of marriages that have crashed have not been totally because of finances. So it means that finance really cannot be the reason why we should go into marriage. There is something bigger, there's something much more from the initiator of marriage, which is God. There's an assignment, there's a vision that needs to be accomplished. And once one is able to key into that, those resources required to accomplish those elements, which includes also finance, will begin to come into play once the two people are able to link up to what they need to do.
Thank you so much, sir. So many things crossed my heart while you were speaking. But let me hear from Nike first before bringing out what I have on my mind. Tinike, can we hear from you, sis?
Yes, yes, yes. Like you said, about our stories, and I've also gleaned from what Pastor Shegun has said on this, and there's a lot that is tied to choices in marriage. One thing we realized recently is that there is a huge concentration on riches than even the wealth, and many times the two are often confused. You can get married to a guy that had everything by your definition because of wealth
Hmm.
or riches, and in the next 6 months, he had a business tsunami. I know for sure that if Pastor should share one or two things before he got to where he is now, and I'm sure that if those ladies had seen Pastor Shegun then, they wouldn't have even bothered. But now, seeing him in his with the root force, with all what God has done through him and in his life, and I know that God has already silenced all those side chicks wherever they want to bring their heads, and so that's it. Because many times they don't know that there's always a story behind every glory, and whatever
Yeah.
they call a glory in terms of cash or financial is transient. It's transient,
Hmm.
like you rightly said, that there are some foundation before finance or money or riches or wealth, whatever they create, whatever they want to call it. Like for me, in my own with my experience, I did not see money in my husband, like you said. I saw a confident guy, even when he had three trousers and five shirts. I saw a guy that would be telling me I would not be poor. I saw a guy that was unable to pay his handout money. He was not able to buy handouts in school. And he kept saying, I will not be poor. I can never be poor. For me, it was the
Hmm.
faith. For me, it was the connection with God. For me, it was the connection with purpose. It was the connection with his present and his future, disregarding his
Hmm.
past. He never allowed his background to put his back on the ground. And these were the things, and personally for me, I'd always wanted somebody that I'll pick, God will give me like a raw material that will grow together. For me, I'd always wanted a situation where I'll have friendship in marriage, that we can share our stories together. Even before I met him, it may not be for everybody. It's not everybody that will get married to somebody that is not starting, like Pastor Shegun said. Some have been divined, have been divinely orchestrated to marry people that are starters, so that the stories can be sweeter. Abina, so that the stories can be more strong. Through divine providence, they'll get married to somebody that is already okay. But what is critical in all
Yeah.
this is that
Mm.
we need to follow the right foundation. I want to take a cue from the story of Adam. Adam had the word. He had communication with the originator of marriage.
Hmm.
First. Secondly, he had work to do. He was given the garden to till before God gave him a wife. At the time, he lost the word and ultimately lost the work. He lost the word and the work when he misbehaved. So even when you are seeing the riches, you are seeing everything. I remember before Eve came, Adam was in his palace, he was in wealth. But when the misbehavior came, everything was lost. But he had to go back to the word. And he remembered that what he had career, he had business. So even when that's why there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Being rich is surface. Anything can happen. The MD can lose his job. The businessman can lose the contract. The politician can lose his position. But the ability to recreate the wealth, the inspiration to get another business, the inspiration to follow the vision, that is what matters. And many cases, such depth of riches from God is often hidden like the raw gold. It takes somebody that understands purpose in a wife or a wife material to see that raw gold and not play ball with the gold. Are the ladies now ready to be the ladies of the discernment, the wise ones? Because it is only the wise ones that will identify the real wealth behind a man that is worded in God. Let me stop there.
Hmm. Thank you so much to both of you. I was listening patiently and following suit. Thank you so much. It will take a real woman, a woman of understanding, a woman of in-depth, a man, I'm not, maybe because I'm a woman, that's why I'm talking like this, a man of in-depth, a man and a woman of in-depth, that we understand that this is the person I am meant to marry, not for the flashy things, not for, like both of you said, and Nike concluded with it, that money can fade away. You can lose your position, but the ability to know, to stay focused, that is all what you need. Thank you so much to both of you. I really appreciate it, and I'm really learning a lot. I've reserved my comments till the end of the program. Now, let me forge ahead because we really do not have much of the time. I'm really enjoying. I don't want to cut any of you short. Now, our next question to you is, I guess you've answered, but I really don't know if you still want to add more to it. And the question is, who should seek financial stability in marriage, the male or the female? Who should seek it? I guess. Nika, you want to go first, or you want Brashagu to go first?
Brashagu can go first.
Okay, Mr. Adewumi.
All right. Like I mentioned earlier, Amos 3:3, can two work together except they be agreed? Okay. The abnormal that is becoming the new normal is a challenge of today's couples. We grew up in a culture, by the way, also that arrogates undue powers to the man. And of course, with those powers, it also arrogates responsibilities. Interestingly, it shouldn't have been. Like a friend used to say, who is the breadwinner and who doesn't eat bread? Who doesn't eat bread? So the way the Creator has structured it is a union of two becoming one. And each of them has a key role to play. Even if we want to do division of labor, there is still a role for you to play in securing financial stability for your home. It's not just the responsibility of one. Somebody once said to me and said, look, the reason why in inverted comma, it was just a joke why African men die earlier is because they seem to carry more burden. And I said to them, they chose to carry those burdens. They chose to underutilize the potentials of their wives. They chose not to give their wives the opportunities to actually play the role of the helpmate for them. Listen, if the initiator of marriage knows that you don't need help, he will not provide the woman. Let me repeat myself. If the initiator of marriage knows that you can do it alone, he will not provide the woman. So basically, the initiator of marriage is saying up front, no matter what you try to become, you will need help to become it. So it's a role for the two, and for the two to be able to live out their potentials as God has given it to them, to be able to achieve financial stability as a couple. By the way, what are we talking about? Financial stability is not just for one person. It's for the two. It's for the family. It's for you also as a family to be a blessing to others. The Abrahamic blessing is a two.
What happened to his network? And we are really enjoying his points on this. Oh my, sometimes network could be very, very annoying, really. Then let's hear from Nike. Nike, continue till when his network is okay. Continue.
Right,
Let's take.
Like Pastor Shagun said, it's a work of the two. Nobody should, like I keep saying, as long as we both eat, we both put on clothes, it's our responsibility, except there is a mutual compromise or mutual discussion and understanding that maybe perhaps for young mothers that are giving birth, some actually excuse themselves career-wise to face the children, and it has to be mutually discussed. Now, for singles, this is what I emphasize. These discussions should be part of the premarital discussions. You
Hmm.
won't lord things over anybody to leave the job or to leave out of stress or whatever. Because the job beyond the money could mean life to him or her, especially the women. So that's why I
Hmm.
encourage that rather than just play around words that are idle or that are just emotionally entangling. Discuss things like this. That at some point, perhaps one will have to travel out, one will have to get out of the career to face flexible jobs or career because of the home. Discuss all these things, and you must be mutually agreed and with the right understanding. That being said, coincidentally, one of the sessions I just had before this live show, it reflected. By the time I looked at the assessment, it reflected a wife that was almost more intellectually higher than the husband. Unfortunately, the husband is a cultural man, as in his mindset is cultural. Welcome back, Pastor Shagun. His
Thank you. Thank
mindset
you.
is
Yeah.
cultural in nature. And he told me, my wife is a genius, but she's stubborn. She doesn't listen to me. She doesn't take orders from me. He enjoys the result the lady gives, but he does not understand how she's wired. She is, by my assessment, due to what they feel, I see a woman that is more goal oriented than the husband. Yet, the husband is saying, I need you to, even when I am not doing the right thing, you should listen to me. And I asked him, what does respect mean to you?
Hmm.
Is it the way your father defined respect? And the nature of the lady you have married is a go getter. She's more of a combination of a man woman. And so, why am I saying this? There are situations where the ability to sustain, the major ability to sustain the financial pot, we call it the commonwealth of that family, just like the Shunammite woman of the Bible, might be residing in the wife. Is the husband, like Pastor Shegun said, is the husband secure enough to understand this? Is the wife understanding enough to know that you don't have to lord it over your husband? So that's why everybody as individuals, if you are the husband and the wife as a couple, you need to understand that you have the financial potential to sustain that family. But things can change. How much can the wife or the husband of, for example, an Okonjo Iweala compete financial stance we have? How
Hmm.
much of do you get it? What
Mm-hmm.
competition can ever happen in that family? So there should be purpose and timing, and nobody should be a liability in marriage. Nobody
Hmm.
should be a liability in marriage. There must be something you are contributing. At some point, like I said, you may cease for a moment for family purpose, but it must not be a constant that you are a financial liability in the family. I'll stop there so that Pastor Chemi can take it.
Thank you so much, Nike. You dare not be a liability. And I don't know, Rashia, do you have something else to add to it? You were saying something before the network cut you off.
Yeah. The challenge with a mindset into a relationship, by the way, any other types of relationship, particularly marriage, is key. So you must ask yourself, what is my mindset towards going into this marriage? Do I see myself as disadvantaged going to this marriage? Or I see myself as an equal partner? I also have a stake. Oftentimes, we also find out that people go into marriage not understanding that they have a stake in how that marriage becomes successful. And that's why sometimes people don't try as hard as they should in being part of the financial stability for their wives, for their family, by the way. I'm sure, you told my story. I know how we started. and I know how God has helped us along the way. But the interesting bit of this is the fact that at every bus stop of our lives, we know that the two of us have a stake in securing financial stability for the home. At certain points in my life and the life of my marriage, my wife was basically fully supporting when things were done in terms of jobs. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't supporting elsewhere to relieve and help her to be able to support more financially. And now also when things are getting better, she's also playing a very key role in ensuring that this wealth or this riches is being recreated on a continuous basis. So there is a dynamism in couples ensuring that there is financial stability in their homes. The other partner may not be the financially savvy person in terms of the income, but she also or he also is providing certain things that also provides emotional stability, peace of mind that enhances the financial security and stability of the home. So it's about the mindset and having the understanding that we both have a stake in the marriage in providing financial stability for the home. So it should not just be a ministry of one, it's a ministry of two, united together to achieve a purpose.
Thank you so much, sir. United we stand, divided we fall. It's an agreement between both of you. You should learn to work things well so that things will work, and the family will stand, the home will stand, the marriage will stand. Thank you so much. Like when Mr. Segun started by saying most African men, they are dying because of responsibilities, which is true. But I love, he came in from my husband's angle. I wish he's listening, but I guess he's busy somewhere. He will tell me, thoughts I will not die because of a woman, which is the truth. Which is the truth, really. But thank God I'm not the kind of, everybody knows me, I'm not a liability, and he knows I am not. But that is what he keeps saying, that why will a man die because of a woman that is not responsible? It shouldn't be. So men or women, please help your husband not to die young. Help them, please. Let us help our husbands so that they will not die young. Contribute something. Financial stability is good. Wealth is good, sincerely, but don't put all the loads on their head so that we all enjoy the marriage and the children too. We call you blessed that indeed they have you as parents. Thank you so much. Now let me go to our next question. The next question is, what place should financial stability? After this question, we have one man we close. That is why we call it a date. What place should financial stability take in the decision to marry? Now for the singles or youth that want to get married and they're thinking, I want to go into marriage. So what place should financial stability take in the decision to get married? Now let's start with Nikki.
I think along the line we've answered this question. But
Okay.
could you please permit me to add something to the last one we discussed? That there is a balance. Do you know that there are some men that would rather die poor than to have women, their wives, support them?
Definitely.
So in some situations, we have wives, we have husbands and wives that are not supportive. We are encouraging them to be supportive. In some situations, we have wives that want to be supportive, but their husbands are saying, in where I come from, my wife must not feed me. It is poison I'm eating. So at that level, who can help the BP and the depression of that man when he's challenged? So that's one extreme that we also need to create more awareness for the men. Now the times are hard. Don't come. They could be hard and challenging, and don't don't deprive yourself of the help that God has given you in your wife. And it does not make you less of a husband. It does, like I keep saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I said, my father has given receipt to my husband. So including me and my finances, he owns them. And he owns them because he has proven to be a husband in all forms, in every aspect of life, emotionally, financially, psychologically, spiritually. I said he owns me and everything I think I own. He owns all of us together. So, and we are encouraging such men. Drop those um, cultural mindsets. Move from mindset to mind shift. Because even economic wise, everywhere, in your own father or grandfather might have been the one working, and your mother was sitting at home. You are not in their generation. You are in a new generation that your mother, now your wife has to teach, has to work, has to probably get home at 10 p.m. the same way you are getting home at 10 p.m. Yet the bills are not totally paid. So wise up, open up so that you will not die early. It's very important for you, please. And like you said on those ones, I tell singles that there is an overt and covert story or overt and covert reasons for getting married. Many times you see Shola weds naked, but the covert story is maybe naked weds ATM machine. Those are the things we hilariously those are the things we hilariously talk about. That the covert story is that the next person is perhaps not getting married to a human being, getting married to money, or getting married to the career or the business. And so when the career or the business fails, you discover that the marriage does not exist. So I only encourage them that as much as we have said so much on financial stability, you yourself will have to be financially schooled, financially independent, financially educated. And so when two financially healthy people, it does not mean that you now be competing with money. Like Mr. Shagun said, that sometimes that all you need is an understanding with your husband or your wife. My husband's business, there's nothing that is going on there that I don't know. I don't do. We have separate businesses. There was a time he had an executive meeting with other directors. They have a group of companies that they sell together. They sell the same things, and he was on a hot seat. He had to send a text to me. It's over about 8 years ago that this is what is going on. Please, what should I say? At that point, I was giving an emotional support to him because we
Yeah.
have discussed. There is a communication about his business. I know virtually everything that is going on in his business. The same way he knows everything that is going on in our business. In some cases in marriage, a woman or a lady that is already preparing to marry an ATM card or the whole ATM machine or even the bank. So when the bank is going bankrupt, there is no advisory service she has to render. She's a liability. How can that be sustained? That's a challenge. That's a challenge we need to do. As singles, wise up so that you will not be treated also as a tool. If you are marrying an ATM or the bank itself, then the man can say, I'm marrying a baby making factory or I'm marrying a sex machine. That's another covered story because you were not part of his success. He cannot, just like Pastor Shegun, at least the glory of God, we understand their company. It's a major business, it's almost a multinational business. But he cannot say his story without his wife. Those are the women, the Proverbs 31 women. So for the singles, ensure you become part of there is a new team, there is a new club. The new club is not a club that looks after a man's purse. The new club is you want to be the Proverbs 31 women. That even the husband calls you blessed because of the virtue you are bringing. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Nike. She's fired. She really wants, and I really love to continue. Want her to continue. Then, because of time, Mr. Shegwadewumi, could you please give us your own answer before we call it a date?
Well, I love let me take it from what Nika just mentioned from Proverbs 31. I extracted the life of this woman that was projected in that scripture. She's an entrepreneur to a fault, highly creative, very hardworking, and forward-thinking. In fact, she mirrored Proverbs chapter 6, the issue of the ants. Forward-thinking. Ability to understand that life comes in seasons. That's the dynamism of it. Every single lady, single guy out there should understand that life is in seasons, and you must be able to navigate through life in those seasons. They come in seasons. You have your ups and downs. Going back to how we started, there is no navigation through seasons in marriage without the creator of marriage. There is no way you can make a success of it, really, because there is someone who has structured it and you understand how it should be navigated. You need the person to be able to navigate your hands around. That's the first thing. You must be connected to the source of this institution, become married. Number two, I often say this in my management meeting. No one will break the bank for a liability. but they will break the bank for an asset. The first fundamental thing as a single person is to make yourself and become an asset. Each time I do interviews for senior level management, after looking through the wonderful CVs, I ask a simple question. What do you bring to the table? Why should we engage you? I'm not asking whether you went to the first private university in Africa. I'm not asking you whether you studied one course or the other. I'm not asking you, in those days, those who went to state universities are looked down upon. Interestingly, things have shifted. It's not about the school that you went to. It's about what do you bring to the table. Are you an asset as a lady? Are you an asset as a man? If you are not an asset, you are likely to marry a liability. Like attracts like. If you are an asset, you are likely to find an asset who will also be attracted to you. I married an asset. Absolute asset from the day one. Why? Because there are potentials. We knew clearly where God wanted us to go. We were prepared to pay the price. Yes, we had rough edges along the way. We had bumps. There will be bumps. That's why life is about times and seasons. But understanding those areas and planning for them is key. So as a single person, as you prepare for marriage, ask yourself those fundamental questions. Because oftentimes, it's not about the other person that is first. It's about you first. Who am I? Do I have a very broad understanding of who I am? Do I understand what are my potentials? What do I bring to the table? What am I bringing to this relationship? It's a relationship. That's one thing you must understand. It's not about him. It's not about her. It's about us. What am I bringing to the table? What is he bringing to the table? By the time you're able to access this very proactively and pragmatically, you should be able to come to a seemingly conclusion that you have a future together. You will get to have a feeling of whether this person, where does he or she want to be in the next 5 years? We ask these questions often. Where do you see yourself become? What do you see yourself becoming in 5 years, in 10 years, if God spares your life? I have found out over time, people find it difficult to tell you where they intend to be in the next 5, 10 years. As a man thinker in his life, so is he. If he doesn't have an imagination of what he wants to become in 3, 4, 5 years, hey, you are going to a trap, you are going to a problem. You are going to a visionless marriage. Every marriage must have a vision. I mean, I'm in my 5th decade. I start vision like a 2-decade-old person. So it's important that people understand that going to marriage must also be accompanied with a vision of where you want to be with this man, with this woman. And it's not just about him. It's not just about me. It's about us. So ability to appraise what you are bringing to the table is very key. And asking yourself, your partner, what is he or she bringing? Is he bringing something substantial? Or is he bringing something that cannot be defined? A lot of people go into marriage with a man or a woman who cannot define what he wants in marriage. And that becomes a big red flag ahead of time. So I'm advising the singles out there, who are you? What are you bringing to the table? Are you a liability or an asset? I pray that God will help you. Let me stop there.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll be calling it a day, but somebody, one of our viewers said something. I understand where she's coming from, Beth. I really want you to take it. You said assets attract assets. But she said assets attract assets. Not true, totally. Not totally true. There are exceptions. Well, I think let him answer. I've said I'm not talking today. Let him answer. You were the one that said it. So, sir, could you please answer what she said? That's not totally true.
Now, I practically understand where she's coming from. If one of the partners have a mindset of being a liability in a relationship, of course, if you're a liability, you would like to go for an asset to have financial stability. But you know it's a red flag, because if you are an asset and you marry a liability, you are likely to be drained. You are likely not to be able to grow your asset, even in marriage. I've seen wonderful women who have potentials, who went into marriage with no future ambition, partners, and have become a shadow of who they will have become in life. I've seen women who we went through school together, who I knew were far intelligent with potentials, but by virtue of who they married, they could not live up to those potentials. Either they have been eroded by culture or they have been subsumed by the person they married to. So where I'm going is the fact that if you're an asset, you also will look for an asset. If it's an asset, he also should look for an asset. But if you already know that you are a liability, of course, what do you have to offer? Nothing. To be able to weather through financial stability in marriage, you have to look for an asset. And that's where the issue starts becoming. Now, if you marry an asset and there is an issue in the early stages of marriage, what you likely find out is that there will be mistrust because you can't weather through the storm. Hey, storms will come. Every marriage go through a cycle. But the vision you had at the beginning, the fact that you have potential, you believe in God to help you through, will weather you through the storm. So it starts with making yourself an asset. Someone who never takes no for an answer, someone who is beat down and dust up himself and rise up again. Is key in going to marriage. Because if you go into marriage because he is rich, he's stable, friends, in this country of ours, global environment, we have witnessed tsunamis in some sectors of the economy. Last year, we witnessed tsunamis. A lot of people had fantastic job last year. Today, they are struggling. We never envisaged those things. They were assets then, but if there is no support from either of the partners, they will be struggling all along. So it's important that you understand that the two of you must bring something, and that's my angle. The two of you must bring something to the table, and that's the asset part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I really thank you. Everybody you must be an asset. There must be something you are contributing one way or the other. You just don't have a choice than just for you to be an asset. Thank you so much, Mr. Segun. Thank you so much, Nike. You want to say one thing in one word, advice to the ladies, to the unmarried before we close? Just one word.
It's in one word. I want to say that if it's not broken, don't fix it. And what does that mean? It means that whether you agree with what we are saying or not, we are not 100%, we are not saying that we are 100% correct. And
the person has said great answer. Thank you, sir. The person said great answer. Thank you. She has accepted.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So we have a choice. And the truth is that we are talking about the ideal marriage. And that's just the way to go. It does not mean that we've not seen people that are married. Some husbands deliberately go for housewives. I've seen husbands that will go for women that struggle to work, and they are saying, I did not marry you to work, but you chose to. And that's why, like Pastor Segun said, if you're an asset, you look for an asset. If you are nobody wants to, but some people discover themselves in marriage, or they probably will discover themselves. He had a case like that. And even to selling ordinary Ankara for the woman. The guy was working in one of the oil companies. Yes, he could feed the family. He still has his job, but the height of the wickedness is that he married the second and the third wife. And the lady is out of the house. The lady tried to sell common Ankara inside her boots. Bought her big, beautiful new car. But there are husbands that deliberately intimidated men or intimidating men. So for our ladies, what we are always saying is that try to understand your purpose, like you mentioned. Know your why in life, and you know your how in marriage and marital partner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. She's really fired. She's really well. It's good. I really love people when they talk with passion. That is what this program is all about. Mr. Segun Adewumi, I sincerely want to say a big thank you to you. And Nikki, I want to say thank you to both of you. Like I said, we don't take honor for granted on this show. We don't take it for granted. You would have been using your time for something else, but for you honoring us, we say a big thank you. And to all our viewers today, we say thank you for your participation, for your involvement, for your feedback. We want to say a big thank you. And now we are going to call it a date on this program. And before I call it a date, I'm going to round it up with everything they said, the summary of what I am taking home. to know, because we said it's a life before marriage program. That is the series we've started last week. Is financial stability, should financial stability be a reason why you should get married? It could be, fine. Should you look for a guy who is intelligent before you get married? Fine, it could be. Could you look for somebody who is beautiful before you get married? Fine, it could be. All of these there are reasons why you should go into marriage. Should you look for somebody who has position before you get married? Fine, it could be. That if all of these things, if all of them fail, will you still be able to stand? That is my conclusion on this program. If all of this fail, I want to marry somebody who father is Dangote or Tedola, very wealthy. That is the person I want to get married. It's good. I want to marry somebody who is good sexually. It's good. Those are the reasons why people go into marriage. It's good. We are not disputing it. I want to marry somebody who is highly intelligent. It's good. We are not disputing it. I want somebody who is well connected in the society. Those are good. But if all of these things fail, what will happen? Will you still be able to stand? Thank you so much. Think well before you go into the marriage. We are not choosing for you. Ask God to help you. And this is where we finally call it a date on this program. Till we meet again next week. Remain my humble servant and your loyal friend, Oluwatosin Oladimeji Ayaladipo. Till then, stay blessed and bye. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Baba. Thank you for having me.
Bye. Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you so much.